Hello, friends. It's Pat Kirch here. I am here to introduce you to the first episode of the 8123 podcast, which is something that me and Garrett have been talking about doing for quite some time and are finally doing it. Not really sure where it's going to go exactly, but we're going to have conversations with people and with ourselves about music and life and everything in between, and it's all going to be somehow tied into what 8123 means to you guys and to all of us. So it's going to be people that influence us or that we're friends with or that are part of 8123 behind the scenes or anything. Talk to some of you guys and maybe we'll do a deep dive into some of the albums that we've put out and things like that. So I hope you enjoy this first episode with Halvo. Many of you probably know him from A Rocket to the Moon or just from him being a cool dude on the internet. But we end up talking about Rocket for a bunch of it, along with other things in his life. But I think he talks about the band in a different way than I've ever heard him talk about. And kind of I learned some of his insight into what they were thinking when making certain decisions and stuff. So I think you guys will enjoy it. I will talk to you soon. Take care. We've been rolling, yeah.
Totally rolling.
Yeah. Can you hear things okay?
Yeah, hold on just a sec.
He needs his liquids.
I'm on creatine right now.
Trying to get jacked.
Trying to get jacked. So I need to drink a lot of water. It dries you out. It makes you really thirsty. So I have to be
Constantly flowing of fluids.
Yeah. And then I'm on a multivitamin, which makes my pee bright yellow.
Ugh.
Fish oils, which makes my skin leak.
Oily.
Oh, man. Well, thanks for coming by the studio, man.
The first guest.
The first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Eric Halvorsen.
Welcome. I feel welcome.
I was thinking the other day about I think this is the first time that we met, and correct me
today.
No, yeah. It was you were doing a show with Bad Motivation in my backyard at my parents' house, and there was a boat.
Oh my God!
You had a squeaky chair. There was a boat in the pool, and me and John were in the boat.
Yeah.
Paddling around, and you guys were playing
for like 10 people, maybe.
For like 10 people, and I think Tim charged like money to get in. No, actually, he definitely did for sure.
That was the first time we met.
Yeah.
Damn.
Really?
I must have been in like 5th grade.
Yeah, because it was.
You were in.
I think it was
7th grade.
I think that would have been 8th grade, and the only reason why I know that is because that was the same day that Urethra Chronicles 2
came out. Wow.
And my dad made me leave the show after we played because I had to I don't know, maybe I was grounded or something.
Yeah.
But everybody,
I remember those days.
Everybody was planning to watch Urethra Chronicles 2, and I think
You couldn't.
I think I was heartbroken that I couldn't watch it.
Sure you were.
I was obsessed. I was a little obsessed. Yeah.
Yeah, remember the days when if you got grounded, you maybe weren't going to play a show or you had to leave right after.
Sure. My mom actually she wouldn't let me play shows unless I got haircuts. So there were numerous times where she would drag me to Supercuts or something before the show, like early in the morning before the show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wasn't allowed to play. And so if you like see old pictures of me playing shows, I always had
Your
really
hairs are
terrible haircuts.
I remember I got grounded one time because we were passing out flyers at the movie. You know how you just go to the movie theaters and pass out flyers to whoever the fuck was there.
Yeah.
like some old guy is gonna go see like, I don't know, whatever movie. He's gonna go to your show at that Big Fish pub, but you just did it, and we were playing
Chinese restaurant.
the
play.
Red Dragon or whatever. Lucky Dragon, yeah.
And we were passing out flyers at the movie theater. And then, did you ever go to Stratum laser tag?
Yeah.
So there was the movie theater across the freeway, and then laser tag was on the other side of the freeway. And we just crossed the freeway, and we got in so much trouble.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Well, it was the bridge. It wasn't like running across a freeway. But
I think John did that one time.
yeah, I think he was drunk though.
And there was water.
There was water too. Yeah.
Holding his phone above his head.
Waiting.
That's like super dangerous.
Yeah, maybe he can tell that story on your guys' show. I don't know if he wants us to share that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's
old
awesome.
Old times. I think the first time I met you did you guys ever play outside of a movie theater in Gilbert?
Outside of a movie theater, I don't think so.
I remember the first show. I think one of the first shows you guys played together was a Battle of the Bands at the Hard Rock.
Yeah, and we kicked your ass.
Yeah, but I feel like we beat you in another battle.
No, you beat the
clubhouse.
We beat you at the clubhouse.
I know
because you brought $1,000.
Because you brought like 103 people to the show, and we brought like 90 people to the show.
Sure, that shit was so fucked. Because
it's a scam.
Because I had like a ton of like competitive resentment towards you and all of your bandmates.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you.
I
guys
just never thought about you.
Yeah, that's fair. And then so like fuck Tony back then, you know. But now like, here we are. We're
great friends,
really good friends.
Yeah.
But these shows just made everybody like competitive about playing music together.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
So stupid.
And I think that kind of even bled until like later. It's like there was something about like a local band. You always wanted to do better. You always wanted to like
which I think also is what drove bands to get bigger and be
That's true. Yeah,
be better and stuff. Was like if there wasn't that competition, I like wouldn't have had the urge to like try to
work harder.
To work harder, and you know you want to save up more money so you can make an EP that's recorded better, and you want to bring more people.
Then there'd be things like, remember Show of the Year, and it was like the first three bands were like, it was us, Ann Arbor, and I Set to Kill. And
it was whoever sold most tickets played first, second, or third.
Yeah, and
it's a scam.
It's a scam.
And then, but it's like, and then
we fucking sold like just those three opening bands sold half the tickets for the entire show.
That's how all the Battle of the Bands work. And then your band finishes, and then everybody leaves who paid to come see you. And it's like
the headlining band, no one watches.
Yeah, there's no scene being created. It's just like, oh, here's all my friends
from high school,
and then we're gonna leave.
Totally.
I think
then we became really good friends at your guys'
beach house.
Beach house. Yeah,
we played volleyball together, and then it was like, I don't dislike this person.
That's when I met John too. Was that trip?
Yeah,
I had met you and stuff, but I wasn't really like Max and everyone. I wasn't really. I didn't know very well.
Sure. And Jared got his PCP or his PSP.
No, he wasn't there when I was there.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really.
That was a different year. Yeah,
I didn't really meet Jared until on that tour.
Yeah,
that he
toured with us.
Filled
in at the time or something.
Yeah. Weird to think about.
One of the things from like early on when I met you, I think that I remember most is that you were, I think, like me, that you were just like obsessed with bands and watched every Blink DVD, like you're talking about. You know, you were heartbroken that you couldn't watch the DVD, and you were always like probably more than anyone else, like discovering new bands all the time and just like obsessed with the scene. You were like, you would.
It was weird.
I remember you writing into AP.
Yeah.
To and you got published. You got published.
You got published.
Probably would have freaked out if I
did.
Oh fuck!
Yeah. But I think what's cool is that I think probably more than anybody you haven't lost that.
Yeah, maybe.
In like different ways, but like you're still going to just as many concerts probably or more as you did back then, and you're still like trying to discover new bands.
Sure,
and
yeah.
You went from I remember you were on the fan club for Thrice.
Oh, yeah.
And like so you had that thing, and I think that I don't know, I guess what do you think has caused you to not lose that, where like most people get like jaded and like don't have that urge to like go to concerts after they've played thousands of them, and
It's funny because we were just kind of talking about getting jaded at lunch about like shows that I'm going to now. I don't know. I think it comes and goes in waves of like obsession, where it's like we were talking at lunch about how certain bands like don't excite you the way that they did, or like shows can become predictable or whatever. But then the stuff that really makes an impact is like, I just saw a band called King Cruel play like a month ago or whatever, and I had no idea what to expect at that show, and like seeing that was just as exciting as seeing Thrice back in the day or something like that, where it's like, holy shit, this dude is doing something really interesting and out there, and like something that I'd never seen before. So I think maybe that's the wonder of like something new and unfamiliar for me, is like what keeps me involved and like learning about how people are creating music and keeping it interesting and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, but I find you always send me music and stuff, and you're always like, I mean, some of my favorite stuff I've listened to in the past 2 years is stuff that you've sent me, like that band Twin Peaks and stuff. Is like, I'd never heard of them, and then that's like, they were like right up my alley. I was like, it's like, oh, if I was to start a band right now, this is like
a very Garrett band. Yeah,
it's like this weird Stonesy / like Velvet Underground Beatlesy thing, but it's like you're still searching that, and then you're kind of throwing it over to other people and sending it, which is cool at 30. You're 30? 29?
Yeah, I think it kind of went away for a while too, but then like when I Twin Peaks was a couple years ago, but when I was doing that job, that social media job, I did like social media for CBGB's, the old punk venue, which is now like a restaurant in the Newark airport. But they're just a brand, and I kind of like took it upon myself to like start turning the whole brand into like a fun music thing again, and that kind of reignited my like desire to like dig through blogs and Spotify and all that stuff to find music, and that like just I that was kind of what I used to do, was just like I would just sit on the computer all day and find shit, and so I guess I don't know where I'm going, but that thanks CBGB's reigniting my love.
Well, I mean there's something about like it's a lot easier to find music now. I feel like that, especially with things that maybe you're really into at the moment. It's like, because with Spotify or whatever, you just go to the related artists,
right?
And you can skip around, and maybe you're not diving deep into a band, but if something like hits you really quick, then you can do the deep dive, and that's when like you find something you really like. So there is give and take with that, where it's like maybe you've passed your favorite fucking band you just haven't heard yet, and you judged it on one listen, but there's also you can also find something that you totally love.
It's definitely way cheaper to like discover music. Like
as opposed to like
going to Zia and buying like 10 CDs that are just on the shelf. Like,
and
I've heard about this.
A couple
like,
of them suck really
yeah,
bad.
exactly. And then you have to like sell them back for like $2 or something.
Yeah.
But also like it's so easy to, like you said, like you can skip over stuff. Like I think music is such a time related thing. Like where there's bands that I listen to that upon first listen, it made no sense to me. And then like 6 months later, you know, maybe I'm happier, sadder, you know, like just went through a breakup or something. And it's like, oh, this is clicking so hard and becomes like a favorite record.
Yep.
But I think with Spotify or YouTube or whatever you use, like it's so easy to just like mass indulge in music and just kind of skip over things because it's like, oh, well, there's 1,000 other things that'll fit this mood immediately, and you just forget about something.
Yeah. That's what I have a hard time now because of that. Like, I'll get in my car and I'll go to put something on, and I don't even know what the fuck I want to listen to.
Right.
And I'm like, endless options.
Yeah, it's anything you ever, and then you just end up going to something that you've listened to like
100 times. Yeah,
but it's like the Netflix problem. Or, you
know, end up just watching The Office again.
Yeah, or with Yelp, it's like, oh fuck it, I'll just go to.
Yeah.
I almost said Subway. I would never go to Subway. I don't know why I thought that.
Maybe deep down you want to go to Subway.
No, I haven't had Subway in probably like 4 years. It's
good.
It's never getting eaten again.
But yeah, I wanted to kind of walk through a little bit of like you playing music kind of from the beginning until now a little bit. So, and I think that the history of you playing music and us and our band and me before it and stuff, I mean, is so closely tied together. Sure, like it was kind of all happening at the same time, and you know, and I think like the beginning of it for me was that, you know, I don't know if people know to like what degree, but you know, you and Max, who was our tour manager, who I think a bunch of people will know, and and Jared were in a band, and I was obsessed with your band.
Yeah.
I was your number one fan.
I don't know why. We were bad. We were called Bad Motivation at first. Yeah.
And you know, and I think like, you know, you guys set the tone for our band. I mean, and you guys kind of laid the groundwork for what the Maine was able to become, because I was able to learn what it was like to be in a band, and then Tim, that's where he totally got interested in the music industry, which then was you know, one of the biggest reasons as to why we're here today.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, and it was just like, I mean, like any kind of local band as kids, it was just like figuring it out as you go along and just fucking around and playing terrible shows or whatever. But I think, you know, maybe more so like Tim and, you know, you guys, you were like, we kind of just dropped out, and then it was like, oh, well, we can keep taking this to.
Mm-hmm. But I guess more so I want to like, what was your, back then, I mean, did you 100% like that was what you were going to do with your life? You were watching the drive-through DVDs, watching a Newfound Glory DVD, like you were going to be on a bus on tour. Like, how confident were you that like that was what was going to happen?
I don't know. I would honestly say probably not very confident, because it was just like, I think, and maybe it was because not much at the time was like coming out of Arizona, like, because we had so many bands that it just seemed like existed only in Arizona or like in Tempe, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was like Jimmy Eat World or something that was like, oh, they made it out like that. But I didn't even like register that was like really that possible to me. I think the dream was like, oh, we get signed to Drive-Thru or something like that. But yeah, if I think back, I think it was just like almost seemed like a whole nother world of like possibility. And And then I kind of stopped playing for like when we went to college.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess like that to me is like the most interesting part about what has happened to you is like you had this dream of like being in a band, being on a record label, doing all these things, and then you just completely quit on that. And like what was your plan at that point?
Year and a half,
like
I guess.
when you were going to college and to high school, were you just like done playing music, and what was your goal?
I had no idea. I think it was like, well, I went to school for like a year planning to do marketing or something like that, and it was just miserable. And then the next year I took like a bunch of random classes that I knew I would like, and like found all these things that I was like, oh, this is cool, like certain biology things or whatever. But I was also taking like a photography class, and I think the idea was like, oh, I'll do something with design or photography or something like that. And then that was kind of when like Nick just kind of plopped into our
existence.
lives, I guess. Yeah. So really, I mean, it was just kind of like it was the stars kind of aligning that like Tim started working with Nick, and that Nick needed a band, and I was miserable in school and was like very prepared to drop out at a moment's notice, and that's kind of how it all fell into place. And then it was just like, oh shit.
Yeah. Because you know what, to me, thinking about it now, what's like crazy is like, so you have this kid that has this dream of like, you know, is obsessed, wants to be on drive-through, wants to do all these things, and you're working for it, and then eventually it's like it's decided like, hey, this just probably isn't gonna happen.
Right.
And then 2 years later, you are back at it, and you're on the cover of AP magazine, the magazine that you were like writing into. Right. You're signed to Feel by Ramen, which is the biggest record label of this scene at the time, especially.
Yeah.
You're on Warped Tour, which was the tour that you would have been, you know,
killing to be
like
on,
waiting in line to go watch these bands.
Yeah.
And you're making a record with one of the biggest producers of the scene, you know.
Sure.
All within a year. Like,
yeah.
Could you process that? Or
I don't know if I ever, you know, I mean, I definitely did. And it's like, it was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is insane. And like, definitely a huge blur at the time of like, and I'm sure for you guys too, just like,
totally,
what the hell is going on? But you know, like, I can't lie and say like, oh, I put the time in, and like to get to that place, it was just like, you know, I think it's more of a testament of like being open and being
just ready to go.
Yeah. Like, okay, this is scary as shit. Like, I know I said I was like eager to drop out, but like, you know, being an 19-year-old kid and like, oh, I'm going to leave this thing that you're supposed to do to go do something that's like very unsolid, you know, unstable. It was terrifying, but it was like, well, shit, like you got to be open and like accepting of those kinds of opportunities.
Did you think that then, or is it now looking back like, oh, I should have been scared? Or was it like...
No, I definitely was scared. I can remember like going to my mom's house and being like terrified to tell her like, I'm going to drop out and like go do this. And also like, I didn't really know Nick.
Totally.
And I didn't really know Lauren at the time all that well either. And it was just I guess I could try this. And then like we went and played Bamboozle, and it was like
insane,
sick. And then it was like, all right, well, shit, I guess.
I mean, that's still one of my favorite shows, because I remember watching you guys, and it was just
all
fucking crazy.
And then,
we all went out with you guys, and then we played like right after you guys or something on the stage right next to it. And I was just like, that was the first.
Dude, your guys' set. Holy shit, I totally forgot about that. That was like, and that was like for me the first time I had like seen you guys, because you were kind of like. That was like part of your first peak.
I mean, but that was that. I mean, that show sits out in like my brain as like, because it was never like that before.
No.
Not at any point. We're in fucking New Jersey, and there's just people.
Crowd surfing.
10,000 people or something.
Just going off for you guys. And I remember just standing side stage. That was like my first experience. I mean, seriously, like the first experience that I had of playing out of Arizona or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we did the Glamour Kills party the night before or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it was just like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, this is mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and yeah, just what a blurry ass time.
I'll never forget looking at Lauren. Lauren's face during that was like unlike I'd seen anyone else's. It was just like the pure joy of just living that.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because he still has that face.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I've seen it many times since.
Like,
but that
8123 Fest, I remember Rocky that was playing, and he's like down in the pit, like filming us, and like would stop and pull his camera away and just be like beaming and like rocking out harder than anybody in the crowd. Like,
that's awesome. I think you'll have one of the more interesting perspectives on this out of anyone. So I don't know how much people understand how weird it is that John is in a band.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
I guess maybe give your perspective on how when you met him, what he was like and what he was doing, and then when you found out that he was in a band, and then when you heard the songs, and then once you started seeing it like kind of become successful pretty quickly, like.
Yeah, we lived in the dorms together, and he was rushing for a frat, which is just fucking bonkers. And not just any frat; it was like the brilliest frat. It was a very out of pocket move, like very off brand. Everybody was kind of like, "What the hell's he doing?" And then,
but like,
I think somewhere in there that's like
before
it might have been like a. Not like a retreating from the band thing, but just like trying to put his head around some of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we were young, and I think he was just trying to like find a place, and it was like, this is college, like this is maybe
what you do.
Maybe this is what I need to do to like become more social or something like that.
But like
before, I don't think he was trying to like go and like, rage with a bunch of bros or something like that. But
like before college, all of us were in bands and playing music and all these things, and John was on the baseball team. He didn't play music or sing really.
Sure.
I mean, he had a guitar, but he wasn't a musician like the rest of us, and he was in a circle of people that were doing this, and he didn't.
Yeah, and didn't really ever like express any interest to do it, or if there was any interest, it was very much kind of
in his brain.
In his brain, yeah. So I remember when he told me like one day in the dorms, I think it was like after we had a party at Max's or something like that. He's like, "Yeah, I think we might try out for a band with Pat and Garrett or something like that." And I was just like, "What?" Okay, what are you gonna play? He's like, "I'm gonna sing." I was like, "What?" Yeah, it was very strange. Which is still just like, I mean, kind of continues to just baffle me. More than you guys, I would say, because it was like, oh yeah, of course they're gonna be doing that. But like, I remember when you guys were out with TBS or whatever, and he like sang instead of Adam, or took filled in for Adam. That was like a real moment of just like, this is so strange, like where this has come. That's that path is real wonky, real funny.
It's odd. I mean, and it like really, to me, it like shows that like anybody's kind of capable of like doing anything and becoming a different person than what they are, because he totally has branched out and became this thing that then you can't even like associate that with what he was before.
Sure, but
it's still
you
there.
Can, yeah. It I think his excitement around music back then and stuff
was there, yeah.
Was there and stuff. I and again, it just kind of comes back to like being open and like ready to like, okay, this is something I want to do, or this, this might be terrifying, but I just need to do it. I mean, I was talking the other day about how really absurd at the time it was that I joined Cobra Starship. And like, definitely not something that I ever saw myself really fitting into or anything like that. And I would say that's one of the like craziest changes in my life because of that band. I mean, joining Rocket was like the groundwork, but then like as far as like on a kind of spiritual personal level, joining Cobra like completely flipped me upside down.
In what way exactly? Or like, I guess what's the biggest change since like before that and after?
I would just say it kind of like snapped me out of this haze. Like I feel like I kind of woke up in a sense from many years of just being like a victim to the world, or like thinking that everything else was like outside of my control, when in reality it's like
you can control everything.
Yeah, being around Gabe and like kind of learning a lot from him. It was just like, everything's in your control. It's all your responsibility to like be a better person and take action for what you want to do. And it just kind of like blew open this whole mindset that I was living in. Very simple things, but it was just like I kind of view my life as like pre Cobra and post Cobra.
Yeah, but it's easy.
Funny.
It is easy to get into that mindset of like, I can't do something, like I can't do that because I never have, or like it's like writing a song seems so out of reach if you've never done it. But as soon as you just sit down and like attempt it, and of course it might suck or whatever, but like it's all about like that first choice of doing it that like really sets your brain different and like gets you going and like down a path that like
absolutely and I think everybody will at least myself, like I still struggle with that all the time.
Oh totally, me
like,
too.
Like playing music, some days I'm just like, if I haven't played in a while, or like, and I sit down to try to like make something in Logic or whatever, and it's bad, then it's just like, oh god, like this is terrible. Like I should be better than this. I'm not gonna make anything.
Yeah, but it's about sitting there and doing it.
Yeah, you take that step and you do it, and then it feels so goddamn good. Like even if it sucks, it's like whether you're making art or painting or playing music or whatever, like giving yourself that purpose of just like doing something and creating something.
Well, and like accepting, like being okay that it might suck.
Sure,
like it's so that once you get past that, then it's fun and everything's good.
Right.
You're in the sweet spot, and you can make a million things that suck, but maybe somewhere in there's one thing that's like that was worth all of the
well, and it's like
bullshit.
It's a real strong lesson too of like not giving a fuck about what anybody else thinks, because that's another hard thing, is like there's stuff that I've written that I'm like in the process of it, and I'll just like shut down during it because it's like, this is awful, and like what if somebody
heard this
comes into my bedroom where nobody ever comes, and they open up this laptop that no one knows the password to, and they play this song, and they hear this. Like, get the fuck out of here. Nobody's ever going to hear this shit, like, except for you. And, like, even if they do hear it and it does suck, who gives a shit? Like, whatever. But that's a hard thing to overcome sometimes.
Totally.
And that'll completely freeze you up from doing anything. And it's like, you just got to be open. You got to take that step.
Yeah.
To everything, even if it scares you.
So I guess going back from where when we were talking about Bamboozle and you being in Rocket, and then it becoming an actual thing that went from like you just being in college, dropping out, like joining this band, And then there was the moment where you guys started a tour and you recorded a record and you became, you know, in the band actually. And you went from like, before it was like Nick's thing, and then now it was a band. Like, was it hard for you? Because like you eventually really found your place within the band and had a large role. And for the people that were coming to the shows, they connected with you, which I think, you know, a lot of that has to do with you being such a fan yourself and being in the same perspective as the people that were coming. Was that hard joining a band that was basically a solo artist that began to have a little bit of success, and then you joined, and then it became an actual band instead of you just, you know, kind of playing with them? Was that hard, and how did that all work out?
I wouldn't say it was hard. I think maybe there were some growing pains of like trying to figure out everybody's place and how we all fit into something that was already kind of expressed as like a one-man show. But I think, yeah, like you said, it was just like the understanding that like, oh, there's people here that are coming to see us play, and like that's insane, and like I should be involved with that, and that was fun, you know, like having that interaction and it so yeah, I think like the empathy towards like what it's like to be a fan, and it just all felt very natural, I think, and it was like I said, it was a lot of fun to like, I don't know, just be involved in the scene that kind of surrounded us or you guys or whatever, like, and it still is. Like, obviously, I haven't played in a band for a little bit, but I'm still very much like try to keep in touch with, you know, the kiddos out there, and nobody's kids anymore, and
I mean, from an outsider's point, like I could definitely feel like you had a huge presence, like within Rocket. Like, yeah, I feel like there was, I feel like you can tell when something's working really well is like when fans of the band have you had fans, like your own fans. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's just off of your personality and like all the little goofy fun things you would do. People, I feel like, were really like connected to.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Shout out to my fans.
all the Halvo fans out there.
I wonder if
I'm one of them.
Fuck yeah, Halvo still exists. I don't know. My dad's calling me. He can wait. Sorry, Dad.
So how I guess during the you know, I think it kind of happened for both of our bands around the same time. We put out a record. A couple months later, you guys put out a record, and it was just kind of like off to the races, like pretty quickly.
It was like a battle of the bands, kind of.
It was, yeah. Did you
I'm listening. Sorry.
Did you feel like it was happening really quick? Did it feel like you kind of got to where you didn't think it was possible to go in a quick period of time, or did it always feel like you were like trying to get to the next point?
It always kind of felt that way for me.
Because like I think for us too, it you know, it always just feels like you're trying to get to the next point, so it's hard to like appreciate.
Absolutely, yeah. And I kind of like, I mean, like I said, it's a pretty heavy blur at this point. But looking back, it's like I wish I was a little more maybe grateful of the moment, or kind of in the present of like, holy shit, what the hell is happening right now? This is amazing. Instead of like, I wish there was a little more, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, someone can tell you so many times, like, appreciate this, or like, you know, really cherish this, but you never really, when you're that young and you have the whole possibility of like taking over the world in a sense or whatever, it's like, it's super hard to like pull yourself back and really really get a grasp of it. You know, I think I was always grateful of the situation that we were in, but it was like, I want more. And
But
yeah, you just kind of it's weird because you feel even if we're like headlining rooms and selling out, 1,000 cap venues or something, or going to Indonesia and playing to like 4,000 kids the first time we're ever there headlining or something. It's like that shit's insane, but you're still like you still have at least I always like still had this feeling that like, does anyone really like us? Or
yeah. I mean, that's how I feel now. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, but you guys have been in a band for 10 years, and like, it's just I guess that's just human nature of like being an artist is like you always have these insecurities of like what if no one likes us, but.
I think it comes down to like you watching other bands, like when you're growing up, and like you've seen, like you could have been obsessed with like bands, and then a couple years later you don't give a shit for some reason, and like so that's always in the back of our heads. It's like, oh, how do we keep people excited and keep wanting to be part of it? And so it's like, and it always feels like it's always like on the tip of your finger, like, and it could just like a little slight wind, just like it's gone.
Sure, yeah.
And so I think there's that fear element to it that makes, but it also like I feel like you have to have that in somewhat, because if you're just going out there like what, because we've been there. I mean, we've talked about it. It's like when you're in the Forever Halloween mindset, you don't give a shit.
You're just like going through the motions, and like you're just like we're just doing what we want to right now. Right. We don't care, sure. Which is,
I think something too like. Is like I used to have this idea when I was younger that like, oh, we're not like legitimate, like we're not like the real deal, like oh, there's these bands and then there's us, there's these entities that are like these are real deal bands, and then there's us, and we're trying to get to that point, but we're not quite there, and then like the older that I get, I'm like, oh, these are all just the same kind of people. Like we're all just doing the same thing. Just some people have gotten like a little bit more, of a grasp on what they're doing or something. It's like everything it's all the same. We're all just like farting shit out, and sometimes it sticks. And like,
because I mean, I remember feeling that way towards Rocket. When you guys had a song on the radio, and when like we used to was. It was a hit song, it's now it's gone, it's gone gold, and which is something that we haven't been able to have happen, for any of our songs, and
well, with the streams, I'm sure you guys have gone gold.
No.
Yeah, there's like a little asterisk on our gold record.
Trust me, I'm watching.
It's purchases and like equivalent streams or something.
At least you don't have a bullshit gold record from selling 100,000 records or something. That's at
your parents' house.
That's at my mom's house.
It's only 100,000.
Yeah, but it's cool, but it's like that's not really that.
Shouldn't it be bronze or something?
Or like yellow?
You got a yellow record.
But like I just remember being like very envious. I mean, I was very happy for you, but at the same time,
this was like 6 months ago.
No, I'm not talking about when the record went gold. I'm talking about
Pat has a knife on you. You don't know it.
I'm talking about when the song was on the radio.
Oh, sure.
And it was like that's all that we wanted to happen too.
Sure.
Even when that was happening, did you still feel like you weren't in like a legit band?
Sort
or
of.
like was there any moment during kind of that time period that like sticks out that you felt like, oh man, like I'm actually doing this? Like,
yeah, there's a couple moments. Well, one of them I remember when we got aired on like Teen Mom or something, and like getting hit up from like all these girls in high school that like used to ignore me, and they're like, I just saw you on Teen Mom. I was like, fuck yeah. It was like a 15-second clip or something. No, but more realistically, there was like a radio show that we played in Puyallup, Washington, for KISS, the radio station up there. And then I think we did one with you guys in the around Christmas time too.
Yeah.
And like we didn't headline either or something like that. I think like 303 or actually Cobra might have done the Christmas one. But I just remember like both of those shows were massive. I think the Puyallup one was like 4,000 kids, and then
it was like
people, and then
7,000 or something.
Yeah, and like I just remember at the Puyallup one, like everybody was singing that song back to us, and I just started fucking bawling on stage. And I like turned around, and I remember like making eye contact with Andrew or Nick or something, and they're just like, "What are you doing?" But it was just one of those moments where it's just like, "Holy shit, this is super real," and like, this is like a dream come true of sorts. So there were definitely moments where it was like, "Yeah, this is happening," but you know, and then it's kind of fleeting, and like. You always want.
Then you want more. Yeah.
Right. And then more never came for a rocket to them.
Do you think that having that success with that song changed your thought process into making the next record? Like, do you think that having that to like aim for and that to be a possibility is something that like changed what you guys did on the next record?
Definitely. I mean, it changed the whole course of like us as a band, whether it was like making more like country leaning stuff or like what the label wanted to do with us for like, oh, you need to be more radio friendly, and it definitely like shifted everything, which is funny because that was the last song that was put on that record. Like Nick and Justin wrote it after we had done the whole record. Excuse me.
Which like tends to always be the case
right,
with big
like,
songs.
I think they did it in our van or maybe in your guys' bus or something.
On the
AP tour,
AP
right?
tour, yeah.
Which was after we had done all of On Your Side. So yeah, it was like a very, fleeting, like just kind of a, okay, well we have to write one more song, and then it turned out to be the smash.
Gold single.
The gold single. But it definitely changed everything. And then like, which I guess inevitably was our downfall of like, yeah, we're going to be like a country band or whatever. And I mean, I think a lot of things went into it of just like what I would change, following that. But, you live and you learn.
Do you remember the first time you felt like it was gonna be done?
Yeah. It was just like a lot of things like happening, like just kind of losing control of like the directions that you wanted things to go in, or like, coming off of that kind of high, and then like watching that slowly like chip away. And like we did our record with a big time producer, and the label paid exorbitant amounts of money for it, and and that was all cool, but it was just like there were just like feelings like there just like wasn't the level of excitement from people that had given that prior, and it was like, oh, that's weird. And it's like, oh, and then like, the whole build up to like trying to get a record out, and it just like not working and not getting tours and stuff. I was just like, brick by brick falling away kind of thing. And,
so it was like felt like a long thing.
Yeah. But really it was probably only like, a year and a half or so, I guess, which is a long time. Yeah. And a band's life, but and I think we just took so much time to like, because like that single kind of hit later in the cycle, so it's like, okay, well now we have to really push this, and then we had to go and write, or Justin and Nick had to go and write, and then so it just took so much time, and I don't blame anybody but ourselves for making the choices that we did. And it just didn't work out.
And I think one of the more like frustrating things being in a band is like having an album done, and then not being able to put it out.
Yeah, just sitting on it, which
and then it kind of takes away the steam and the excitement that you have for it.
I mean, we released like a EP of like 4 or 5 of the songs prior to the record coming out, like 6 months before the record came out.
Yeah, I remember that.
That definitely that just sucked.
And it's like by the time the record's out, you're kind of over it almost.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the first 4 songs. Like, who wants to get a record? It's like, I already know all these first ones. Like,
yeah, I remember that. We've talked about that a lot. Like the first song and how, if you've already heard that one, for some reason it like sucks some life out of the record.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but
I'm kind of now there's this whole thing like the National put out like 5 fucking singles.
I feel like every band right now is putting out like half of the record like before it comes out, which to me it just takes away the excitement of when the album comes out.
Yeah, and I don't. I guess now that we're in kind of a more like single based industry or whatever, I guess that's what they're going for. But for me, I love listening to records.
Yeah.
I'm not really like a single song kind of guy, but I like listening to the whole piece. And it's like, well, if I already know 5 of these songs,
then you want to skip them.
Yeah, kind of.
And then you might miss the point of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Even if that maybe wasn't. I doubt the National was like, hey, let's put 5 songs out before this record comes.
Yeah.
It's just
or like
stuff.
War on Drugs. They put out so many. But they also signed to, Atlantic prior to this release, and it's like I'm sure that it's probably like, I don't know, maybe it's the label, and they're like, we need to do this because this is what people do now.
I would say 80%
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think for us, which is why like us thinking of ourselves like not really in the music industry and just in like we're in the business of the Maine, not we don't have to pay attention to what other people are doing. Is like we're able to keep, we can like live in the present and embrace all these things that are happening, but then keep certain aspects that to us make it important, which is like making albums that are important to people, not just like songs. And like we put so much attention on that, on like making every album seem important.
Sure.
Which is why,
it's down to every little bit. You guys get like a house, and you have an entire like energy that surrounds each piece of music, which is from a fan of you guys, and I'm sure what your fans enjoy about it too is like it makes the whole thing like a new era or a new moment. Mm-hmm. Instead of like, oh, here's another record, we'll probably put another one out like in 2 years, and it'll be like this one or whatever. It's like, no, each one is like a defined moment in time and of who you guys are, and that's exciting, and that's what I love about your guys' records, or like anybody else who still kind of subscribes to that mentality of like, we've changed, so here's something different than some old junk. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
No problem. My dad is blowing me up. Hold on.
Oh, jeez.
Let's see. Are you going to be at the house by 3:30? I'm borrowing my dad's car right now, and his girlfriend needs it to go hiking. So
are you going to go hiking?
We can end soon. But
no, we got. I just need to be out of here by 3.
What time is it? Oh, 2:33.
Yeah.
We got another question.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
What's next in your life right now?
That's a good question. That's a bad question, but hold on.
Beep boop.
No, not a bad question. Just a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Right now, for those who don't know, I mean, I don't think anybody knows what I'm up to, but just working. I work for a band, an old 70s rock band called America, and I tour with them. And the plan is right now to continue touring with them while I kind of figure out what it is I want to do next. I don't really, I guess, subscribe to like, oh, this is
plan.
This is gonna be
what you do
whatever's
for your life.
next for me is gonna be it, and I'm gonna hunker down into that. I think I have a really hard time committing to like one thing. I get like really pretty stir crazy or afraid. Excuse me.
Do you like touring?
I do. In this regard, it's way different, like not playing and also being around like a bunch of old people and stuff. It's so different. It's so much slower, and it's like a whole new side of things that is very different than like what you guys do or what I used to do or whatever. But it's it's still similar. Every day is like the same in a new place.
Yeah.
Or can be. But as of right now, I'm just like, I'm kind of doing a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out a lot about what it is that I want to do. And I think what the starting point of that is just making shit and like taking those steps that we were talking about earlier about like not being afraid to create or be not be closed off to any idea that kind of strikes you.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be hard because if you don't have a job or something like that, then it's very expensive. And living in LA, it's like I have to have some sort of foundation to do maybe the things that I want to do. But also like touring makes it really hard to follow certain paths when you're always gone.
Especially with like, you're doing it's like weekends, right?
Yeah. So like I fly out every weekend for months at a time. I'm gone every single weekend.
Yeah. And you always need that, like, even on stuff like that, you need the day after just to like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
exactly.
a lot. It's like, by that time, it's like, oh,
I have 2 days at home during the week, and I'm like, oh shit, what the hell do I get done? Or, you also, it's incredibly hard maintaining relationships.
Totally.
With friends or, the ladies or whatever.
Especially at this age, like, I feel like it's even harder. It's like
everybody's moving on, and you're just kind of like stuck in this like time frame. Of, you can be gone for 6 months out of a year, and you're just like, like I'll just go home and go back to what I was doing when everyone just like kept moving.
Yeah.
Which can be really tough, and I'm kind of also like battling with that. Is like, shit, this is a lot of time that you're just devoting to like being out, and it's like,
and like I feel like touring and living the life that we live, kind of like you have to watch yourself from not getting like stuck in the same spot. Definitely. And like not like letting like mentally letting yourself like mature in the way that a person that wasn't doing this would do, because you're kind of living in a
arrested development state. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can very easily, I mean, I think, and it probably happens to a lot of people, you think like, oh yeah, I'm out and I'm touring and I'm doing this and like
I'm experiencing the world, whatever.
I'm experiencing the world, but in reality you're frozen in time and you're just coasting along and like not really learning or experiencing anything new. I mean, a city's a city is a city. It's all the same kind of stuff after a while. Yeah. So that's a whole nother part of it. It's like kind of coming to terms of like, okay, I need to continue growing as a person while doing this stuff, and like not being a 50-year-old man boy. Yeah.
Which I think kind of goes along with what you were talking about earlier of like taking responsibility for your life, taking responsibility that like you can't, at a certain point, I could only use the excuse of like, hey, I tour all the time, so that's why I do certain things. That's why I act a certain way. Or, it's like after a while you just have to like, no, I am a 27-year-old man. you have to be responsible for what you're doing, and you can't use the fact that I'm gone all the time, I'm doing this, I'm doing that as like as a crutch.
Sure, yeah.
And it's so easy to, and like
I'm sure we all have lots of time.
And like people will just accept it too. Yeah. And then it just takes you like really having to look in the mirror to like
be like, yo, wake the fuck up. You gotta like address this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with like relationships and stuff, it's so easy to just be like, hey, look, like I'm gone a bunch. We'll hang when we can. It's like, like if you love this person or you love this friend or whatever, like you gotta make a really strong effort to keep these people in your life. Otherwise, like it's all gone, you know. And it like I think that's a side of touring that people really don't understand is like, it's all glitz and glamour and like, yeah, you're out there traveling the world. It's like, well, yeah, but we don't have normal lives, and we like not. I'm not trying to like sound like we have it hard or anything like that. But it just like, there's so much that you don't think about that you have to like really maintain and really work hard to like, keep those relationships at home strong. And
that's the biggest thing is like you have to put in the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Like
that's kind of where I got lost in it a little while, like maybe a few years ago. Is like you're just kind of accepting, like what you're saying is like, oh, I'm the one that's like gone all the time. Sorry. Yeah. Just deal with me because I'm like that. Right. Instead of like, it's you're the one that's gone. So you need to be the better person and you need to go and reach out to the people, and which I'm still having a hard time fucking doing. But
it can be tough because you sink into these like rhythms of like, oh, I'll call him tomorrow, or I'll call him when I get a second or something.
I'm fucking tired. I don't want to go do anything. But sometimes you just gotta go like
call your grandma. Like. Make some effort. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm kind of at a crossroad where it's like, I would love to still play music, and I think that side of things I'm still very much on board with. But I also want to try a lot of different things, and so I'm kind of at a place where it's like I'll work and make some cash and figure out what the hell I want to make and like do
and are the chances of Rocket doing something again possible?
I don't know. I mean, definitely have like floated the idea around a bunch. I think it's just pretty tough to get 4 very different lifestyles like lined up. But yeah, I mean, the possibilities there. We just need to like, I think, find the time and like inspiration to make it happen.
It's nice that you guys didn't end like on bad terms with each other.
Right. Yeah.
So and like, I think seeing 8123 Fest, like seeing your set was pretty clear that like
we're good. Yeah. We're
and like there's something there that you have.
Sure. Yeah.
That like the chemistry between you guys.
I think you and I, we talked about it over the best sandwich in LA.
Yeah. We did.
It's called Larchmont Wine and Cheese.
Is that where I went?
Yeah, that's where you went too.
It's beautiful. Number 2 sandwich.
Which one's that?
Not in LA, I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Your number 2 sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that, maybe if you really look at it, you could say that we ended kind of prematurely.
Oh yeah.
And that we definitely could have like bounced back, which is definitely true. I think everybody was just kind of like burnt out from the situation that unfolded leading up to the release of the record and stuff, and we all just kind of wanted to try different things. But yeah, I mean, we definitely could have kept going and worked at it and stuff. So I think, that kind of level of like, well, what would have happened or something if we had just stuck it out. I think that still exists. So like, after playing the fest, 8123 Fest, it was kind of like, this is pretty good. This is pretty fun. And I think people would enjoy maybe seeing it again. I don't know. We're not a legit band, So.
Well, we would love to have you guys play at the next fest.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
So we'll see if we can make it happen by then.
Yeah. If we are, there'll be 4 question marks on the
on the ad man again. Yeah.
If anybody has made it this far in the podcast, then you know, only you know the secret.
Yeah.
If there's 4 question marks on the ad man, Rocket is playing. Wild and free, front to back.
Hey, I'd watch it.
Yeah. Me too.
From the back at the bar.
No, you should do back to front.
Okay.
Because if you put the first 4 songs out first.
Right.
Yeah. So now
we'll do the you know.
Start at the end.
This is
This is anti.
There was like
release.
There was like a super depressing song. It's the last song about like the wind beneath my wings or something. Angel wings or something. Man. Justin had a heavy hand in the Christian writing of that album. Yeah, we're going to pull a Kendrick and release that album backwards.
Yeah.
For the collector's edition.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, this podcast is brought to you by fishing poles.
Lux Coffee.
Get Lux Coffee.
Yeah.
Actually,
what are you drinking?
I went to DeSoto Market.
Oh.
This is brought to you by Downtown Phoenix Coffee.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening.
And creatine.
People are gonna really think you got a problem here.
I'm on creatine, baby.
Are you really?
I'm really on it. I'm trying to get a little jacked.
Damn.
I'm trying to take my climbing to a professional level.
So, what exactly does the creatine do for you?
I don't.
Does it
fully
help?
know.
Does
it's
it
like
help gain muscle?
Muscle recovery. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have some amino acids that I take that also help your muscles recover. Then I take some protein.
Well, you're looking good.
Thanks, man.
So.
We'll post a picture of me with my shirt off to go with this podcast.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks
for having me, guys.
Peace out.
Later.
God bless. Happy New Year.